Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew, editor-in-chief.
Rutledge, founder and Elex fanatic.
Andrew Stretch, demonic editor.
Okay, hold on. I need to ask why.
Yeah.
I've just been, spending some time in the nether worlds, collecting demons, helping them solve troubles, spending my daytime going to my beautiful high school in Tokyo. Just a normal week.
You were sounding like that weird kid in school. Just a second.
Right.
Show up with those contacts.
When you're that busy, when do you find time to play Shin Megami Tensei V? Just curious.
I don't. It's a real shame. It's just been gathering dust.
Yeah, he was talking about Persona 5.
Yeah, so in this episode later on, we're going to talk about Shin Megami Tensei V. Obviously, we're also going to talk about Forza Horizon 5. Lots of 5s going on. But first, let's get into the news. Elden Ring. We got 20 full minutes of Dark Souls meets Breath of the Wild meets Sekiro energy going on. I think that about sums up that Elden Ring gameplay. I don't know. Does anyone have any hot, off-the-cuff thoughts, takes?
What was it? What was the new Pokemon? Not Arceus, but before that, I don't even remember. Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
That open world, that looked like Elden Ring.
Whoa.
Interesting. Okay. Have you considered getting new glasses?
No, but it obviously 1-to-1 they're not. But comparably, it's like you see this open world. It's like, man, this kind of looks not good.
Well, before there's too many pitchforks and torches in the comment section, it's such a shame that you have to leave us so soon, Otten. You're stepping away from the games industry too.
They said I get ice cream later after pudding.
Hey, Jeff Keighley knows where you live. He will find you.
Well, good thing after that E3 leaked it, I moved. So I'm safe.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can understand that. It definitely is not the prettiest looking game I've seen, especially from what you might expect. But, there was something about the vibe of it that it didn't really surprise me all that much. But also, I know I'm getting it day one,
Well, more of what I'm getting at is, I don't think any of the From Software games have been particularly, they're not the visually best looking games. You know what I mean? But they also have a very style and atmosphere that's very good, that they nail that. So it might not have the best graphics or the best textures, whatever the hell you might say, but they've always kind of nailed a specific vibe, and that just felt... Obviously, I haven't played it, so who knows? This could all be wrong, but based on that trailer, it's like, man, that just looks like a generic fantasy world, open world, with weird From Software-y monsters on it.
Do you think the generic fantasy world is coming from George R.R. Martin's input?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast, where we anger the fanboys.
Well, I'm gonna say the opposite, and it looks like a FromSoft game. As Andrew said, I think I'm gonna be able to put a more positive spin on it. Definitely, if you were to throw me into that world and say that this is Dark Souls or this is a medieval Bloodborne, I'd just nod and go back to getting myself killed. Mm-hmm. I do think the idea of going open world is going to be quite interesting. I feel like a lot of what I've played of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, it's very much about narrowing down the scope of what the player can do and putting a wall in front of them. I'm kind of fearful for any arbitrary choke points. That, you'll be riding in a field, and then for some reason there'll be a gateway, and there'll be a creature there that George R.R. Martin thought up, and then someone at FromSoft said, okay, sure, but give it 12 more eyes and 13 and a half more hands, and then let's fight that.
Right.
And make it really big.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still excited for it just because what I saw of the gameplay, because for me in the FromSoft world, Sekiro is probably my favorite FromSoft game because of how fluid everything feels and how just you can jump. That's nice. Which I know you can jump in Dark Souls, but try jumping in the middle of a fight.
That was the true innovation for Breath of the Wild too. Yeah,
they finally played Mario and they were like, whoa, we can add that. But no, there's a lot of the way Elden Ring is playing where it looks like it still has the same like long frame animations of Dark Souls, but it also has a lot more of that fluid movement that I'm seeing in like Bloodborne and Sekiro. And like there's that moment, right, where you're on the horse and you get to like horseback combat against the dragon, and I was like, okay, that looks like it could be cool if that's not like a set piece moment, you know, like if that's something that can just happen in the game, like whenever, wherever, that'll be really cool.
Yeah. So kind of going on what Stretch was saying, it's going to be very interesting. I think this is definitely the biggest departure from any other game. And this, if you want to lump all this Soul stuff into one thing, Sekiro and Bloodborne and the Dark Souls series all in one thing, because they always had, like Stretch was saying, like a set challenge in front of you. Essentially, like even if you're going down this hallway or across this bridge or whatever, this guy was going to pop out of here, you were going to fight that thing or whatever, and it was the same kind of thing, and it was overcoming that challenge and kind of learning the quote-unquote puzzle of the crap it's going to throw at you one section at a time. Where this, obviously, if you have the freedom to go anywhere, how do they keep that same level of like crafted challenge in front of you, like, or do they just randomly gate things, which hopefully that's not what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that, because that'll be, I think, the biggest challenge for the game, right? I mean, ironically, because it's going to be a very challenging game, most likely, but the hardest part is going to be how is the open world going to fit into all of this? Or maybe more importantly, how is FromSoft going to fit into this open world?
I wonder if they'll like really double down into the open world aspect, like Breath of the Wild or like Skyrim or something, and like put a whole bunch of stuff in it, or whether they'll take a completely flipped approach, like something say Shadow of the Colossus, because that had a vast, beautiful open world, but aside from like the lizards and the coins now, there was really nothing to it, and it was kind of it added to the eeriness. Like I know that you know, Shadow of the Colossus is pretty much just boss rush the game mode. But I wonder whether that same kind of level of awkward emptiness might lend itself well to a cosmic horror-ish genre that FromSoft normally try to lean so hard into their like face first and eyeballs.
Right. I don't know. All I can really hope is that, because, you know, we mentioned earlier that the art direction in these games tends to be pretty special, right? And I think back to Sekiro, and like even in the opening scenes, like, yeah, this is pretty, but not like blow me away pretty, until you get to like Forbidden Palace. You know, like that area is just so gorgeous, and I'm hoping we can find some hidden or like later places in Elden Ring that are like that same level of, okay, this is where all that environmental budget went, you know?
I'll also say that gameplay that we saw, they said that, you know, it's PC footage, it's in beta, but they've also announced that there's going to be different gameplay modes for the current gen consoles, like the Series X and the PS5, and that there will be ray tracing support and higher graphics modes coming to PC with like a day one patch. So this is also like, that's the mode that's likely intended to be on parity with Xbox One or PS4, likely.
Right. Well, in other news, we have a game that's getting a day 390 patch. Marvel's Avengers.
PlayStation Advantage.
Is finally getting Spider-Man. Finally, a year later, more than a year later even. That PS4 investment paid off because you can finally play Spider-Man in Avengers.
Because you're definitely still playing Avengers or wanting to play it again.
Yeah, no, player count has never dropped in Avengers, as far as I'm aware.
The only game ever in history.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't tell that players had dropped because there weren't enough to do matchmaking, so you could just expect that it would be really busy.
Right. Well, because you couldn't find anyone because everyone else was already so busy playing like with each other, right?
You were just like the last person.
High, you're like, man, too many people playing.
Yeah, that's the biggest bug in the game. They don't tell you there's a queue time. They just say you can't find anyone. It was
I
just
think
a typo, you know.
I think the biggest bug in the game is Spider-Man now, actually.
Oh, I get it. That's a good one. But he's an arachnid man.
Blasted. Foiled again.
No, I don't know. To be a little more real or serious about it, it is insane how much this game has been bungled over and over again. You know, like I can't think of the last time I saw a very positive story about Avengers, the game. Even the most positive was like, didn't they also say that they're getting rid of XP boosts last week? And like, that's a positive story because they're fixing something so negative, you know?
Yeah. No, it's good because they specifically said before. Like everybody knows the story now, but they specifically said they weren't going to put those in, and then they did, and everybody's like, "Hey, man, what the hell?" Like you were very like, no, you didn't leave any room for like, oh, maybe they'll come eventually. It was like, no, we're never doing that.
And then
so the fact that they're getting rid of it is pretty good. Right. But I'm thinking positive news for them. Wasn't the Wakanda stuff free? That's positive.
Was
right?
it?
Wasn't Black Panther free?
I
didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, and it wasn't the PlayStation Advantage either. Everyone got it.
Yeah, but with Spider-Man coming to it, like, so I've played all of Avengers when it came out.
I'm sorry.
You know what? If you're just playing through the campaign once, it's not bad. It's not the best game in the world, but you'll enjoy it. It's a good time. It's a it's one of those lower tier Marvel movies experiences. It's like that. But with Spider-Man coming to it, so we've already had a really good Spider-Man game come out, and I know how that Spider-Man plays, like how the gameplay and the combat works. I don't want a vastly inferior version of that that has 3 abilities like all the other heroes in Avengers, and that's it. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's going to be. It has to fit into that mold of, all right, he's got these set abilities that you can use, and that's it. And then you get to move around.
You're going to be really disappointed when Avengers announces their Wolverine DLC, then. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. And that's going to be the Xbox exclusive.
So if I want to play Spider-Man, just go play Spider-Man. I mean, don't play Avengers.
Avengers is in this weird point between it's trying to become Final Fantasy XIV, where it's currently headed the way of Anthem. And it's fantastic to hear that they are seriously listening to fans, to remove those XP boosts that were just like, whoa, no thanks. I know that in their statement they said like, yeah, we did promise that we wouldn't include anything that would be game breaking or that would alter players' experiences or be like play to win. And it seems in their mind, or at least in this backpedaling statement, they seem to really double down on the idea of like, no, we just meant that we weren't going to sell like gear. You weren't going to be able to get like legendary gear that could affect gameplay. We didn't see how an experience boost would alter this. And it's like, well, really? Like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, if this were one of the first live service games, I could get it. But like, live service games are a dime a dozen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that they just might need to I mean, the idea of XP boosts, they might be trying to think of, we've got all of this great content that people might want to jump into, like an MMO, like WoW, how you can like purchase your character is now level 60. It might be them trying to make a faster way for people to get to the newer content that they might want to get to, but it's just, when you've already set promises, the internet never forgets.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have to know by now, like, the games as a servicey, grindy, repetitive stuff is not what people want out of it. I have not played like the Wakanda stuff, like the Hawkeye stuff. Like, I know there's more story things that have been added to the game. I haven't played them since I've just played the base game. But it seems like that's what people want. Like, oh, okay, here's the new superhero that's in. So Spider-Man's gonna have some story, I'm sure, and missions associated with it. And
I think he only has minimal missions as well. It's like he has one epic quest or something.
What's the point? Just go play Mario Insomniac's game.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing that's making me want to play the game. I played the beta, it was interesting, but like, I don't know, I've had no drive to go back, and even Spider-Man just isn't enough. Knowing kind of how the game is, and it just seemed shallow to me.
Yeah, I mean, think like here we are a year in now, and if you're interested in learning more, we do have an opinion piece on the site about whether or not Avengers will survive a second year. We'll see, right? But I think what I'm feeling right now is the exact same thing I felt when we first learned about this game, which is who wanted this to be live service? Who wanted this to be games as a service, right?
I'll tell you who. Executives.
Exactly, right? And I mean, wasn't there that story of like Squeenix saying, oh, maybe Crystal Dynamics wasn't the right fit for this, right? But
well, it's a waste of their talent because they can do much better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'd rather see Tomb Raider 4 than this, right?
Especially after playing Guardians. Like playing Guardians and then even thinking about going back to Avengers is just like, why? Because Guardians was so well crafted, and it's a great single player experience. Unless you're playing with friends, I just don't feel the draw of Avengers.
Yeah, and like I don't like there's room in this world for a live service Marvel game, right? But I think it's more that when I think of other games that have like a big IP that they make a live service, like, Star Wars The Old Republic, right? It's not like you're playing as Luke and Leia and Han and leveling up your Luke, right? Like you create your own character and it's you inhabiting this world. Whereas with the Avengers, it's not like, you're not really crafting your own Tony Stark. Like Tony Stark is Tony Stark. Right, which that's how I feel like with Guardians, how it's not really like you're not creating your version of Peter Quill. Peter Quill is just the character on the screen you're playing as and inhabiting, right? And that is what I think more people wanted out of these types of games, as opposed to this live service, like gear up, loot up, get those levels up,
We killed off Marvel Heroes for this.
Yeah,
which, if you played that game was great. I loved that game.
And I almost wonder if they wanted to do like a live service-y Marvel thing, like wouldn't Ultimate Alliance almost fit better? Like the way that game works and plays, and just has the huge roster of superhero of characters in it. Like that's what you would feel it would be like. Instead of collecting gear and stuff, it'd be like collecting the various heroes, because Marvel's got such a massive just library of heroes to go from. Like you could make it all about that, and you could get the surprise hit of here's a character we haven't really featured in a comic in 30 years, and all of a sudden he's wacky and weird and everybody loves him or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that's the way, because you're right. Who wants to be like, all right, hey, I got the new purple version of the arm thing for Iron Man.
Yeah,
like sweet.
Like it's hard to care about it, right?
Which is disappointing as like a big Marvel fan. Like I wish that had done well, because it is fun to play as those characters. It was a big draw of the Marvel Heroes game for me, was playing just an immense number of different characters that had the full spectrum of their abilities, and the combat felt good, and there was story and an overarching kind of lore across the entire world that was cool and fun to interact with. This just kind of, for me, missed the mark.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's hoping, right, that the future of Marvel games is a little more story focused, right? Because I mean, obviously Spider-Man 2 on the horizon, Wolverine on the horizon. I doubt Wolverine's going to be like an MMO, right? Like it's probably going to be pretty focused on Logan. Didn't Marvel just sign a deal with Amy Hennig's studio too, which I would be very surprised if Amy Hennig spearheaded an MMO as well, right? You know what I mean? So here's hoping that the future of Marvel gaming is a little more like Guardians and a little less like Avengers.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I mean, it's all the same company, it's all Disney, but like the way that Star Wars kind of needed its kick in an ass to get off the idea of everything needs to be large and multiplayer, and Last Jedi, no, not Last Jedi,
Fallen Order,
Fallen Order was like, oh, people like this, people really like it. It's like, just keep going with that.
Although I will say I would love a Star Wars Galaxies remaster.
Well, yeah, that was pre-EA though. Like the
systems
contract.
and that.
Yeah,
bring it back, baby.
I've definitely seen a lot of people say Guardians is like the Fallen Order of the Marvel games now, in terms of realizing, oh hey, we got our head out of our ass, kind of, and did it.
Definitely tracks, and I hope that they do more of it. It would be cool to have single player experiences outside of just Spider-Man and the Guardians to explore.
I don't know how they did it, but whatever the lightning in the bottle that Bungie caught with Destiny has just seriously never been able to be reproduced at that level.
That's true.
We've seen so many with like Outriders, which was also Square Enix, right?
Yeah, with People Can Fly.
Mm-hmm. We've had 2 Division games. Just that idea of the I don't know, console, small MOBA kind of, like not MOBA, sorry, small MMO for consoles and stuff has just never been able to be recaptured, except Destiny's continued to kill it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, this live service thing, everyone's chasing that dragon, right? Mm-hmm. But it's just a matter of whether they can execute on those systems, Speaking of big companies going into new forays, Netflix has video games.
5
Netflix
of them.
Is getting 5 whole video games. You never see that anymore. If you boot up,
3 of them Stranger Things.
2 of them.
Yeah, two of them are Stranger Things. 3 of them are. What's the nice way to say not good? Or they don't look they don't look interesting.
Yeah, like we were talking about a little bit before we started recording, but like, you know how sometimes you get those banner ads that are like, throw the dart at the target 3 times and you get a prize if you win. They look like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like not exactly killer app sort of stuff, right? And maybe even the bigger thing is it's only on Android right now, but 3 of us have Android on this podcast. 2 of us could not find the games button.
I got it. What do you want to know? I'm looking at it right now.
Let's re-clarify. This isn't like journalists don't know how to play games. It's not that we couldn't find the button.
Yeah. They aren't. It is there.
The button
not only
exist.
do we not know how to play them, we don't even know how to get to them to play them.
I need Netflix on easy mode.
Yeah. You just got to get good at Netflix, man.
Yeah, you got to get good. You have to get to a certain level before you unlock the games button.
If you like Card Blast, which is a game on here, you will probably like to watch Feed Phil. Somebody Feed Phil. Or Ugly All these are food ones. And then there's Too Hot to Handle, whatever that is.
Isn't that a really bad reality
dating
TV
show?
game?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
You should watch it. Let us know.
Oh, yeah. It says category for this game, Casino. So that's good.
We're starting off strong.
Oh no!
God, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I know because Netflix has for a while now, right? Their goal isn't to like be the best TV show service, but more like their competitors are Fortnite. Like they recognize that now it's more about time, not necessarily about quality of the shows or movies on their service. So this is clearly them trying to muscle into the gaming space, right? And I can respect that, especially considering like how many people are playing Fortnite instead of watching Squid Game, right? But I think you're going to need stronger titles.
Yeah. Like how many games did Apple Arcade launch with? I don't remember.
At least a dozen.
But it seems like 5 is like not like maybe wait till you have more Netflix like.
Or if you're going to have 5, they need to be strong.
Yeah, like, and the 2 Stranger Things games have already been out. Like they've released already. Like there's not a new Stranger Games game on here.
The number of games that release on a yearly basis, like you have to be able to stand out. It's the indie gaming problem in that there's a lot of games coming out and it's hard for games to get recognized. And yes, they might be on Netflix, but if nobody wants to play them, gamers are not going to look at your platform again.
But that's looking at the games that are on offer, that's probably not who they're going after. Because there's a lot of mobile games that aren't necessarily the greatest, but they're good, kind of like just mindless time killers. Like I could definitely see these just being, because you're doing the same kind of thing over and over again. If they're just looking for people to just spend time on their app in some way,
they should have just hired the Flappy Bird guy.
That's right. Wherever he's at now. Don't Google it.
He's living a quiet life now.
There's probably some sad story. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, right, that like if they're trying to get into the mobile gaming market, it's not like it needs to be, you know, the Last of Us 2 levels of, you know, like it doesn't need that caliber behind it to spark some fire. But I think it does say a lot that the story here isn't like, here's this hidden gem you have to play on Netflix that everyone has. It's just, yeah, Netflix has games now, I guess.
Are they just streamed to your phone, or do you like go into the app and download them?
Pretty sure I have to download them. Let me do one real quick.
Yeah, let's see how long it takes.
All right,
live time right now.
Games. Which one?
I mean, it's
Card Blast. We'll do the casino game.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Oh,
in the same.
Oh my god.
Huh?
Wait, we have a breaking exclusive announcement from Andrew Otten going out to the field. What do you see?
Get game, and all it did was bring me to the Play Store. It's not even inside the Netflix app. So I'm just downloading this Card Blast app to my phone. It's not within Netflix at all, I don't think. Well, let me download it and let's see if I can play it from inside. I don't think so.
Yeah, live on the field reporting here.
That's ridiculous.
So, I mean, it sounds, I mean, speaking of chasing lightning in the bottle, you know, the same thing that we've already seen streaming services do. Netflix was like the one big one, and now everyone wants a piece of that pie, and that's why we now have Disney Plus, Peacock,
Paramount Plus.
I don't know, like there's that
HBO
horror one.
Oh, Shudder.
Shudder, yeah. It's, you know, and we already know that, like, you know, these games were already out, and they've, like, I know that the Stranger Things games were on Game Pass and have now been removed so that they can be transitioned over to the Android-only app. I wonder how long it will be until we see, you know, you can open the Netflix app on your PlayStation or Xbox, and then I guess select the game, and it will take you to the stores. The store page to download.
Hey, oh shit though, what if Netflix starts getting like video games, and then if you have Netflix on your PlayStation or your Xbox, it's like Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely think that that's what they're going for.
Yeah, like what if you had Destiny on Netflix, right? And you could boot up Destiny too. Yeah. That'd actually be smart. Not that the TV show is based on the video game, of course. It's purely based on the books.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if they can pull that in, I definitely think that this is them looking at. I mean, you know, you talked about how, you know, different companies say that different people are actually their competitors and stuff. And I'm pretty sure Spencer has said before that, you know, the rival for them with Game Pass isn't PlayStation, but it's like Apple, and it's Amazon, and it's Netflix for that streaming space.
Right.
That I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing, you know, that kind of cross. Just everyone's trying to build their own platform, which is going to be a problem when it's like, oh, I want to play, you know, these games I'll need Game Pass, these games I'll need EA Play, I'll need an Origin Pass somewhere else. If I want to play humongous entertainment games, I've got to get their platform and subscription. It's just going to like start building out and fracture what is currently working. And I'm really don't want that to happen. I enjoy my Game Pass. I enjoy what it has. If I have to start getting 5 services, like
someday you will.
Yeah, I already have subscribed to 2 different services for anime, even though they're both owned by the same company, because each has different things in either sub or dub. Which just baffles me.
Mm-hmm. And you also see stuff where they say like exclusive to this service, but you can still find it on the other service, and it's like, okay, what's the point, right?
Just the direction everything's heading. I mean, that SaaS model is just, it's so prevalent within the software industry. It's now bleeding into games. It was already basically a part of movies and TV. So I think it's a shift we'll continue to see. The question is, 5 years from now, what does the landscape look like? How much are you having to pay a month to have access to everything you want?
5 years from now, it'll be, and I think that Game Pass is getting ahead of it by offering the EA Play within the Game Pass Ultimate service, but it's just going to turn into cable. The same thing that cable did. Like, I subscribe to the base service, and then if I want this service, this service, this service, I can bundle them.
Yeah, we're basically reverse engineering that.
Yeah, they're going the same way, and it's dumb. It's, you know, the reason that people don't cable anymore is because of shitty practices like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what we're going to see a lot of moving into the future, right? But speaking of things with bright futures, Devolver, I think we should talk about them a little bit before we move on to games, right? Devolver Digital has gone public. They're valued at over 900 million now on the stocks trade, and I want to give the soapbox to Rut to make his stonks joke that he's going to make. I just want to give him the space to get that out of his system.
Listen, I would have bought their stock, except for I don't have a trading account in London, so I'm a little disappointed because I absolutely would have bought some. But at the same time, I did bring up that that's probably a conflict of interest.
For those of you who can't see, Rut's actually dabbing tears out of his eyes with a wad of bills.
And they look like Benjamins.
What's that? Is that a raptor on there? Raptor coin? What?
I'll keep bringing that back.
Yeah, raptorco.in.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point I need to make a shit coin just because I own that domain. But I don't want to.
You know, like... I don't know.
Just let Dash design it.
This will be... You could make money off of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody makes money off of their shit coin. Look at the Squid Game coin. It went from like 1 cent to $2,300, and then the creators were like, YOLO, fuck you guys, pulled the rug, and people lost a lot of money. Like, I wouldn't do that, but like at the same time, it would be amusing just to say we have our own coin. But I also don't want to figure out the logistics of that. That's like a lot of work, and like I guess I would probably have to do something with it, and I have enough on my plate.
Right.
So, yeah.
So with Devolver,
but stonks, I would love to own Devolver. I think that to me,
you just love to own Devolver. Period.
yeah, absolutely. I think to me, like, they are a company that's worth investing in. I think longer term that stock will definitely go up because they have such a great trajectory. And I think more than anything, and we talked about this before, is that Devolver's kind of been anti-corporate. I'm curious to see what this injection of funds from listing on the exchange, what that allows them to do over the next couple of years. Because that's really the only reason to go public, is to get an injection of cash that you can put towards other things that ideally continue to inflate and grow that stock price. So I'm sure this was a big business move in terms of what this could do for them over the next couple of years. But I'd be curious to see kind of what changes in terms of their kind of anti-corporate jokes and all that kind of stuff that they like to make. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I wonder too, right? Because that was what my brain first went to, is like, this is the most corporate thing they've ever done, right? But if you look at the statement they released, they talked about how everyone on the team is a shareholder. I don't know how much of a shareholder they are, right? But like, it still sounds like that they're really thinking team first before corporation first, which is nice. And I'm hoping that it's not just like a smokescreen.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm can
sure
keep
there's
that
equity
up.
Involved.
You can keep that up for a while, but like when they're going to be down moments, they can't knock something out of the park every time. And you get, these big investors and shareholders breathing down your neck. That is a big... It'll convince you to do some things that maybe you wouldn't want to do before. Eventually, there's just some compromise like that that's going to be made, and I just hope that we don't see Devolver change too much from that. I don't expect it to, really. They're going to keep their same vibe that they've always had, and their same kind of like, we don't give a shit attitude. We're going to do what we want kind of stuff. But I hope it doesn't affect it too much in terms of, all right, we got to really worry about the bottom line instead of, hey, here's this really weird ass unique game. We don't know if it's going to be a hit, but it looks really cool. And that's what's great about Devolver. And I hope that never goes away.
I'll be curious to see, because I haven't looked yet, I'll be curious to see who the institutional investors are beyond Sony, because I know Sony bought a 5% stake.
Yeah.
So it really depends on who those institutional investors are outside of retail and some of the other sections. Because I think depending on who it is, it could influence things, but they may have also been very careful about who they offered. the chance to invest too. I could see them being very smart about that. Like, yes, we'll only take investment under the certain terms that, like, yes, you're not going to influence this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Well, I think like one of the other things that people don't, if you haven't really thought about it much, when you go public, when that means successes and failures are public. Like money-wise, like if there's a sentiment in the air that, oh, that was a big hit to them, and they see a stock price tank or something, when maybe that wasn't totally justified, but it doesn't really matter, like whether that's true or not. Like the numbers line up behind the scenes, like that can have a big effect and really like you're, oh shit, we have to get that back up, otherwise we could just hit a death spiral where people aren't confident in who we are or whatever. Where all that stuff could be, held behind closed doors before, we're like, oh man, that really sucked and we lost a lot of money on it, don't do that again. All of a sudden that stuff gets put under a microscope. So hopefully though, Devolver's probably one of my favorite publishers, so I don't want to see too much change.
Yeah, I mean, they just have such a good vibe, right? Like, I always look forward to their E3 presentation every year just because it's so fun, right? Like, they just poke fun at everything, and I'm betting they're going to poke fun at this right now.
I'm sure they are.
The thing that's happening, right? But beyond that, they, pretty often have good indie games come out. Like, they're not all going to knock it out of the park, right? But, I mean, no one has that perfect track record. But, I mean, even recently they had, Inscription, which is doing, like, it's one of those underground cult hits that just, like, keeps getting talked about every week, and I mean, they've got this army of really good studios under their wing, right? Like, they just recently bought Firefly, which does Stronghold. Stronghold. They've got Dodge Roll, the Gungeon folks, Enter the Gungeon roguelite.
Yeah. No, I have all faith in them. Like, they've always picked really interesting, good games. Like, they've always had something come out that's like, all right, that was actually pretty awesome, or that was very unique or very interesting or whatever. They definitely have a very good stable of games.
For sure. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to whatever they're going to publish next.
Yep.
Right. Like, I've actually been playing a bit of Inscription, but I want, like, more time with it to really let it soak in, I think now that we've talked about the news for like almost 40 minutes here, let's jump into some games. Let's jump into the games we've been playing. I think let's kick it off with Forza Horizon 5, because two of us on the show played it for the past few days, really, right? Like, right, you bought the early access thing, right, with Game Pass. So did I. What are your thoughts?
I'm loving it. I mean, I enjoyed Forza Horizon 4 quite a bit. I played on Xbox. Just because the controller experience, stuff like that. But this time around, I ordered a wheel ahead of launch just because I wanted to get a little bit more into it. And I'm having a great time.
Does it make you feel like Forza?
I mean, I definitely feel more integrated into the game. Like, it feels more immersive with the steering wheel, which is obviously not surprising. And it took a little bit of getting used to, like, the steering wheel sensitivity and stuff like that. But once you get it down, like, it just, when you hit like a really tight drift on a corner and just pass people, it just feels so cool. And I've played plenty of driving games over the years, but I've never bought a steering wheel. I was like, you know what, for this one, it looks really cool. I'll give it a try. And I'm having a blast. For 2 hours last night, I just drove around. Like, I just kept switching cars and just drove around. And it was super cathartic and relaxing. And then the races are just fun. But I think the upgrading was worth it. Like, to me, $44 to get the premium edition when I'm going to get the standard edition anyway, and then getting the car pass and some of the other bonuses like the car voucher were worth it because I bought the most expensive car in the game right out the bat. Plus the welcome pack has some pretty sweet car models to drive around in early on. So I think it's worth it. I'm having a great time.
So Otten, you were interested in the game, right? Yeah. But you think it's dumb to buy the super edition.
Dumb. Okay, I do think it's dumb. Okay. I don't think it's worth it. I'll play it in a couple days. I don't need to, it's pay to get something sooner, especially when it's just days, or even if it's pay to get some content sooner. I don't like that as that seems like a very manipulative product to sell.
To me, if it hadn't been on Game Pass, I would have bought it anyway. So to pay $44 instead of $60, I was like, yeah, whatever. So it was never about the early access as much.
If you didn't have Game Pass, but you wanted to get that early access, you'd have to buy the full $100 version.
That's true.
Of the game.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I also bought the early edition of it, but I've also been playing Horizon since Horizon 3. Because like I really love Burnout Paradise, but I'm not a big like racing game fan, but I like that idea of like, here's just a big playground and you can just drive. That has always spoken to me, but not so much the like, I need to tweak all the gears and make the engine super right, and I don't know how to talk about cars at all. I don't really get into that stuff. I don't care, but just like make it go vroom. Here's a big road. Just do whatever. That I like.
Red goes faster, right?
Yes. Yep.
I think Horizon as a franchise has done such a fantastic job of like finding that gap between the Need for Speed fans and the Forza Motorsport fans, that it's like arcadey enough to be an entry point, but then the people who want to like drill down into like, what pressure does my back right tire have? Mm-hmm. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's like the perfect mix of arcade and sim, right? So since I've been a long time fan of that series, I'm like, you know what? I will buy the expansion passes anyway, and that $45 version gets you the expansion passes when they come out. Because if they do it like Horizon 4, those won't come to Game Pass. I don't know if that's still going to be the case. But
DLC normally doesn't.
Probably not.
Yeah, so I was like, to me, that's the bigger investment, and it's like getting to play a few days early. That's like the bonus.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of cool too. So with Horizon, you can build those designs for your cars. You can actually create. So you're talking about the tuning, like you can put your tuned car configurations up for people to use, which is also a cool thing. Like I want to tweak my car, but I don't know how the hell to do it. Somebody else has figured it out, which is pretty cool. Like for me being someone who won't even bother trying to change their own oil, it's just kind of a neat thing to be like, well, I want to know how to, I want to tune this car a little bit more, but I don't even know where to start. And you can kind of browse around and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. See, for me, it's like I care more about the designs, like the paint decals, because give it a few. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some now, because there are like 800,000 people already playing Forza this past weekend before it's even out.
Oh, there's already a ton.
Yeah, but give it a few days, if not already. There are going to be so many like weeaboo anime girl designs that look so bad.
Is there any photoshopped Warcraft 3 porn decals yet?
Hey,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Would that make you buy it early?
If my many hours of investigating to find those images couldn't turn them up, I'd be so happy to see them turn up there.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something like almost lightning in a bottle, I think, about Forza Horizon, because like there's so much that I could see that could like turn people off of the game. Like the writing is not good. The acting
racers, welcome to the Horizon Festival.
Yeah, it's really like going for the low-hanging fruit sort of stuff, but there's something about driving around that's great. And actually, probably the best thing about voice acting in the game is you can choose your character's name. And if you have your Microsoft account like super filled out, they'll just pick your first name. So it was really unsettling to hear, "Hey, Robert," for like just out of nowhere.
No.
But you can change it, right? So they have a big list of like, pretty basic first names. But then the best part of the game is spend like a good 10 minutes scrolling through the nicknames they have, because the nicknames are so good. Like there's El Pollo Diablo there. There's like Bro, Bra, but no bruh. And my favorite one that I'm right now is Fam. So everyone is just like,
Sup, fam?
Hey, fam.
Welcome to the Horizon Festival.
Yeah,
Are
hey,
you looking
fam.
forward to some tutorials?
I'm just thinking now of like, imagine I'm just one of those crazy conspiracy theorist people that's all about Bill Gates and stuff. And then I'm going to play some Forza Horizon 5 and they just say my name.
It's like, it's the vaccine.
Imagine
that's how they know.
How much I'm freaking out right now. I'm convinced thoroughly
hey, Forza
now.
Horizon. Hey, Forza Horizon, can I join this race? I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Robert.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that, fam. Like, it still gives me a laugh because in 4 I did Turbo because that's such a dumb like race car name, like racing dude name. But yeah, Fam is that's my go-to, I think, for 5
That's
now.
pretty funny.
I mean, because Horizon, well, I mean, Forza in general has also like kept pulling forward their Drivatar stuff as well. I think that's amazing. The fact that is not still so like heavily advertised is so cool. I remember loading up Horizon 4 and like the first race I was in had like the Drivatars of a couple of Xbox streamers I follow and Major Nelson himself, and it was just like, oh, this is weird, this is cool. That's just like a fun thing to like recognize a gamer tag and be like, yeah, that's a fun concept.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do see our former reviews editor Alex on the roads a lot, and for whatever reason he always ends up in a head-on collision with me. Like, I'll just be driving and then he'll go
just
past
keeps
the car
joining
and
your
we'll just-
session.
Don't read into it too much.
and then I just go, damn it, Alex. So I'm definitely going to be tweeting this.
He's
podcast
probably
every day
targeting you.
because it's literally
Yeah.
always his Drivatar that we have a head-on collision.
That's a cool thing though. It's like he's probably off playing whatever else, and yet you're having a fun gaming experience with him, and he's not even there. Like, that's mind blowing to me.
Well,
Like,
you're
that's
there
a really
too,
cool feature.
and Scrappy. So sometimes I'll just like, I'll get passed by one of you guys in a race, and I'll just be like, God damn it, Stretch.
It's like getting mad at someone in a dream, waking up and be like, God.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, have you actually seen me?
Yeah. Like, you're driving
then-
around, Scrappy's driving around.
Then yeah,
I see Red
I
driving
thought
around
that
too.
I thought that they only like had like your Drivatar per game, but like I played a little bit of 4. I played a lot of 3, but the fact that I'm showing up in 5 and I haven't even touched the game yet, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I think it just pulls from your friends list too.
Yeah, it pulls from your friends list and sometimes players that you've played against in races. But it's also kind of cool, and because I hopped into Horizon pretty late, or Horizon 4 pretty late, but being in this early, it's kind of cool seeing like actual other drivers on there too, like actively driving, and watching people just yeeting off cliffs to get the XP boards. I did not experience that in 4, and so it's funny to just be like driving, and then you just see this car shooting across the screen. You're like, what the hell? And it's somebody just trying to get an XP board.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think too, just speaking about the world in this game, it is beautiful. Like, I'm playing it on Series X, and it looks gorgeous, and it's just so nice seeing a game, or really anything, set in Mexico and nothing is just like brown.
Like fly sepia tone.
Yeah, like
You're
the
in
only
Mexico
time
now.
Yeah, the only time things are brown is when you're like in a dust storm, which those are cool, right? But like everywhere else, it's so colorful, so lush. The beaches look so good, and just like zooming past them at like 200 miles per hour is like, this is cool. This is very, very cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool world, and it is nice that we're driving on the correct side of the road now, compared to Horizon 4.
Yeah, that was in the UK.
Yep, it's the wrong side of the road.
I'm still waiting for Horizon Japan. That's what I want.
Oh,
like
man.
Tokyo Drift, the video game. That's what I want.
I'm already sold. Like,
Wasn't
Playground,
that
do
already
it.
a game? Come on.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, there's drifting
Wasn't there
in
Need for
5.
Speed?
In Japan, maybe.
Wasn't
I
there a
think there was
Tokyo
some
Drift
of
like
it was in
game?
Japan.
Am I crazy?
I think you are crazy.
I
we already knew
thought
that.
this was an
Like-
incredibly popular game, racing game. All right,
I don't know.
I'm
Not that I
googling
can
it.
think of. I do.
I will say though, it's funny that, I mean, I know that I named my character Fam, which is very fun, but there is a lot of talk about family in this game, and like they're
gonna bring that up.
they're attributing it to like, you know, Mexican culture, but I'm also like, they know, right? Do they know?
You can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona.
Hey fam, pass me a Corona seltzer.
Which I'm drinking right now. I do want to talk about the accessibility a bit. The moment I opened the game, it started talking to tell me how to use the menu. And I was like, okay. You can immediately turn it off, but it's one of those things that it's like a very nice quality of life addition to where, you know, if it's needed, it's automatically on. And you can turn it off if you don't want it. And then I saw something on Twitter yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to dive into it, but apparently there's sign language interpreters that you can turn on as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Which, if once I look at it, I'm sure it's true, but that is like astonishingly awesome. You know, obviously I don't need them, but it is a really cool addition to a AAA game of this size. And I think it's a huge step forward for accessibility.
Yeah, and I think even on like the difficulty scale, right? Like I think difficulty doesn't matter too much in this game because like there's the basic like easy, medium, hard, etc. for like how hard the drivatars are. But then, you know, there's like, are you driving an automatic or manual? Like, do you want assisted braking or not? Right? Like the sort of like car jockey stuff. And I remember in previous games, it was basically like the harder you made it to drive your car, the more XP you get, right? But there are some of those settings now where like they don't change how much XP you get, which is, you know, grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter too much because it's not like this is a game where you need to hit level 50 or whatever. But it's still kind of nice from a like psychological aspect that you're like, okay, I can make the game quote unquote easier for me, but it also just feels like it's a little bit more accessible now. Like anyone can hop in and like maybe you can turn on manual and not, you don't have to feel like it's a big deal to be like, oh yeah, I'm a real pro because I drive the car in manual now, right? Like, no, you're just playing it to have fun.
Yeah.
That's not why you play games. What are you talking about?
You're right.
I play for achievements.
Ugh. You're one of them. You're like the little cockroaches of the gaming world, you know, skittering about, collecting your pretty things. That's what you are. Gollum.
Precious shinies.
Yeah, I'll get all achievements for Gollum too.
I'm sure.
Stretch, you've been playing another game with the number 5 in it, or I should say the number V in it.
That's right. Hey, me too.
Yes, I've luckily enough been on that Shin Megami Tensei V or 5 train, which is awesome. I love love me those like deep RPGs. I played Shin Megami Tensei 3 when it came to Switch. That was actually my first experience with the Shin Megami Tensei main franchise. I've been playing Persona for a bit as well. It's really cool. It does, I'm only, 9 or 10 hours into it so far, but already got a good grip of the world.
1/10 of the way through.
Yes.
Yeah. A 10th of the way through, checking my watch every 10 minutes as we record. But it's so far been really fun. They've added in a whole bunch of like quality of life stuff, fast travel to save points. The story so far is great. Probably one of my biggest issues that I had with 3 is that you spend so much time with the demi-fiend, and then you're also meant to care about these other school characters and like which kind of god they want to be, but you just never really see them, never really interact with them. There's some of those characters that you probably spend less than an hour in conversation with, which if you're then meant to like decide whether you hold an ideology that is the same as theirs and that determines what ending you have, it felt very light. But the storyline of Shin Megami Tensei V so far is very much like there is an active battle, there is an active power struggle in the world at the moment between demons and angels, and demons want to feed on human souls, and the chaos that the world has fallen into. You've got that very like desert overworld again. But the combat is really fun. They've added in a whole bunch of stuff that if you want it to be like that true hardcore Shin Megami Tensei, like I'm going to grind and I'm going to maximize my demon skills and fuse them to create the ultimate life form and custom tailor my character to have, you know, little to no weaknesses and like really like min-max the crap out of it. Boy, is there a lot for you to do. But they've also added in a whole bunch of stuff that is very anti-grinding as well. Like hunting down the mitamas, the weird like teardrop shaped things, that they can drop an item that will get you to the next level. It's like rare candies, pretty much.
So they make the game like there are more convenient things if you don't want the like old school JRPG sort of vibe.
Yeah, and I know that like getting the deluxe edition, you know, one of the things included in the deluxe edition is the ability to increase those mitama even showing up, to the point that like you can look out across a field and where there should normally be like 20 different demons spawned, they're all mitama of different colors, which give you different things. So, you know, if you want to go into it and it be some like grind heavy JRPG that you just like get lost in the minutia of picking your demons and building a team, boy, you can do that. If you want to get in and like power through for story and become an absolutely OP character in 5 hours, you can do that too.
So when do you get to take your demons out for like ramen and stuff? And just hang out with them.
Unfortunately, yeah, there has been no social aspect.
Why should I play this?
They have.
What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Persona's better.
Yeah,
right. Is that what we're getting at?
It's if you're someone who enjoyed the time crunch of Persona, there's no time crunch for this one. But if you just wanted like the dumb JRPG heavy storyline of, you know, angels versus demons, and for some reason the only person who's able to save the day is a gorgeous boy from a Japanese high school.
Isn't that like, just anime in general?
Like, you live that life.
Yeah, that's anime. Yeah, no, I am excited for this game though, because I mean, I think I've mostly played the Persona series. I've only played a little bit of SMT4 and didn't really get bit by that bug. But I've heard a lot of good things coming out of 5, right? Like the reviews are looking really good, and you sound like you're pretty up on it, right? So I mean, I plan on picking it up for sure. I really hope that I like it a lot and can just like sink my teeth into it.
Yeah, the SMT series is definitely pretty different than Persona for people that are not like, it's very not the same.
I definitely got to like put that asterisk of like, I am someone who really enjoys those like dumb anime plot lines. And I'm not saying dumb as in it's a negative thing. It's just like, if this is your cup of tea, you're going to enjoy it. If it's not your cup of tea, you're going to hard bounce.
Is goofy the better word?
Speaking of goofy, is Kingdom Hearts... I mean, is there a goofy demon?
Yeah, it's in the same vein. You know, if you're someone who doesn't like Kingdom Hearts, you're really not gonna fucking like Kingdom Hearts. Like
but... Kingdom Hearts is its own kind of dumb. I mean, SMT, it's just absurd. Just you describing it, you know, it's this: the demons and angels are having a war over humanity's souls. It's like, okay, that's stupid as hell, but also okay, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm on board.
So far, the goofiest point has been like, you know, a group of high schoolers have been standing there and a new character has walked in, and one of them has been like, hey, don't I recognize you? And he's like, yes, I'm the leader of this, you know, angel fighting company or the Japanese district, and I'm also the Prime Minister of Japan. It's like, oh, okay.
That's great.
Never change, Atlas. Yeah, but I will pick that up for sure. That's something that it just seems like it's up my alley, and I'm hearing lots of like maybe JRPG or RPG of the year vibes coming out of it. I mean, it's been a pretty good year for RPGs, I feel like. I mean, just in recent memory, Tales of Arise is like sticking out to me too. So I'm curious to see how it's going to stack up with that one. Otten, what have you been playing?
As always, I like to keep things topical. No, I am not playing Warcraft 3. I like to keep things recent and play the latest and greatest. So I played Stardew Valley this week.
Now, when did that come out?
I don't pay attention too close to the indie scene. I think it's pretty new. Sure.
A couple months ago.
Yeah. It's very...
No, but I was looking for something like, not that to turn your brain off, but something just like, all right, you kind of go through the motions. I don't have to think about what I'm doing or plan ahead a ton. Just go do what I want to do. And I was like, I haven't played Stardew Valley in a while. And I was like, remember reading about a bunch of mods that are out there for Stardew Valley.
Oh, no.
And there's a ton of, not those kind of mods. They're probably out there. I didn't look for them. Everybody assumed I was looking for them. I don't know what kind of reputation I have now, but I didn't look for those. But one of the
Mr. Warcraft porn is afraid for his reputation.
I didn't seek those out. Those were put on me. Like I was a child. I was traumatized.
Unlikely excuse.
That's another. No, I won't get into a Blizzard joke there, but you know what I mean. Anyway, one of my big beasts of Stardew Valley is that it's not there's no Steam Workshop stuff. So like getting the mods is actually kind of a pain. So like that's one of the I love PC gaming and all that stuff, and mods. But sometimes it's just like, man, I got to go get this third party weird software and learn how that works. And it kind of also wants to sell me their kind of service. Like, oh yeah, we need to make money off of this cool thing. And it's like, I don't want to give you money. Just let me get the mod. And so it's kind of a bit of a pain. But so what I went with is like probably the most popular Stardew Valley mod out there is called, I think, Stardew Valley Expanded, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, doesn't that add like a ton of like story and
so the map is huge. It adds the stuff to the game. Like it says like over 200 more like character moments or events. It adds new characters to the game. It changes like the farming map. The map is much bigger, and like if you want to do like the Joja story, like you could go be all corporate if you wanted to. But in like the base game, it didn't really do that much. Apparently, they've added just this massive storyline where you could just be this huge Joja shill, and just it completely changed the entire town if you wanted to. And nothing like I've played I haven't played a ton, but everything I've played like it fits in very naturally with Stardew Valley. Like if you told me, oh, this is the expansion that Concerned Ape made and sold for like $10 or $15 or whatever, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's it. It's it perfectly. So if you've played Stardew Valley, you're like, oh, you want to get back into it, and you're like, oh, I don't want to kind of go through the same exact thing as before. This Stardew Valley Expanded is actually pretty rad. Like it adds a ton of stuff. It's very cool. And Stardew Valley was probably on my brain because of the Haunted Chocolatier announcement that came out from Concerned Ape's Nest game. But it's really cool. And I'm sure I have not spent a lot of time looking at Stardew Valley mods. I'm sure there's a ton of other stuff. When you get into these farming like wiki like games, like people go nuts with what you can do.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's some wild stuff out there with like the farming and other aspects of it. But Stardew Valley, hey, what do you know? It's one of our only 10 out of 10 reviews we've given, and it's still, I still feel it's justified. It's very good.
No, I agree.
It's a good game. And this just, I cannot believe how just perfectly this kind of fits in. Because what I really like about it is it adds like a bunch of characters around you that are also farmers. So you go visit their farm, or like this place is a vineyard, you go visit that. And so it's like, oh, this is just we're a town of farmers in some way, sometimes.
Does it add more like quality of life stuff? Like say, you haven't recently created a crop. Can you like go and buy it from other farmers and stuff?
I have not run across that. No.
Okay.
But it just does a lot of smart stuff. Like the Joja Mart like cashier lady is now her own character that you can talk to. Like she arrives every morning very depressed on the bus. And like doesn't want to talk to you, and I'm like, oh, this is so sad. And she gets there, she's like, I hate my life. It's basically
got the 2021 anti-work DLC.
But it's so smart to make her a character, and I think she's one you can marry or something at the end or whatever. You could, but it's good stuff. I would, if you're interested in the Stardew Valley mod scene, it's seemingly there's a bunch of cool stuff, and the Stardew Valley Expanded is actually really awesome.
Yeah, I remember I modded Stardew Valley like a few years back. Like this was even before like that big 1.5 update or whatever, right? And like there were some really cool mods even back then. Like there were some that were just like quality of life. Like you could tweak the sprinklers to make them like just broken, kind of, if you wanted to, just to make farming easier, like that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
But I think what makes me a little sad is that it's not like how Skyrim does it, where you can kind of like just, it's almost built into the game now with like the Creation Club, right? Or even Steam Workshop, right? The fact that it's not that, and then like I've played Stardew Valley on the Switch, I'm like, no, I'm not going back. I don't want to sit at my desk to play Stardew Valley anymore, even for the mods, right? It's like there's just something really convenient about playing it on, you know, pretty much a console where you can like lay out on the couch, really get into that cozy cottage vibe, you know, while you play.
Yeah.
You just need one of those cool like all-in-one computer and chairs that like lets you rotate down completely and recline, and you have the screen hanging over you.
Bro,
yeah, that's what I need.
Only like a couple grand, really low entry.
And then mod it with a steering wheel.
Right.
There's your Forza machine.
You get one of those where they like on hydraulics, it like moves around too, and you're bouncing around.
Chair.
Then you puke when you crash.
Yeah.
Legitimately simulates the crash, just punches you in the face.
Man dies after crashing in Forza.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be cool.
Well,
that'd be great. It's me with my tag Fuzzlebutt. Andrew quote Fuzzlebutt69 quote and died today.
Well, now everyone knows your gamer tag.
I don't
care. Is it really Fuzzlebutt69?
Yeah, and you know what's great about it? That was just a random one Microsoft gave me.
Oh my!
I didn't make it. They just gave it to me.
Unreal.
Just landed out.
Truly the chosen one. Well, I think that does it for this week's episode of our show. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, or if you're on YouTube right now, feel free to give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and let us know down below if you have any thoughts about Forza Horizon 5 or Shin Megami Tensei 5 or any other games we really talked about today. And if you want, feel free to share it with a friend. That would also be pretty rad. You know, let's grow the community if we can, right? Otherwise, we will be back next week with another episode, and if you can't wait that long, you can check out TechRaptor.net, where we're always publishing news, reviews, features, and all of that. This has been the TechRaptor Podcast, and we'll see you next week.